Hi, and welcome back to Mom in Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Kat, and this is another episode of Behind the Sessions. For the next few Behind the Sessions, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've been thinking a lot about the loneliness that comes with the middle of the night when you're a new parent, even sometimes when you're pregnant. The middle of the night becomes something that you're familiar with in the sense that you're up a lot. There are a lot of reasons why you might be awake during pregnancy and postpartum. Certainly during pregnancy, using the restroom, of being uncomfortable, having to shift quite a bit and find a good spot that feels comfortable enough for you to fall back asleep. Sometimes you're hungry. And postpartum is often, obviously, a time where you're up with a baby or you yourself are on edge or not quite able to sleep. And I remember that time of night and sometimes even the dread that would come when I was approaching nighttime because I knew that it was not really time for sleep at that point. It was just another shift, but a shift that I would be doing mostly alone. Certainly, other people were available if I needed. I certainly could wake up my husband. But like a lot of people experience, sometimes partners sleep through a lot of things. So especially when I was getting into that time where I was feeling depressed, feeling anxious, nighttime became something that I just did not look forward to because it meant being up, being hypervigilant, having to feed and burp and change diapers if my husband wasn't doing that. But it was also dark. And there's something about the nighttime and it being dark that adds to that feeling of heaviness or isolation or feeling alone. And, my experience was not unique and is not unique. There are a lot of people who, if they don't completely dread the transition into nighttime, are not looking forward to it or have mixed feelings about it. Or even if sometimes they're okay with it, that doesn't mean they're always okay with it. And this is just such a unique period of time, the nighttime, but also during those last months of pregnancy and the several few months of postpartum, where you're adjusting, you're still trying to figure things out, and figuring them out in the middle of the night is harder, often contributes to the loneliness that people feel. And that is aside from, having a diagnosable perinatal mental health condition like depression or anxiety. You could not be experiencing that and still feel that loneliness. But certainly if you are experiencing a perinatal mood or anxiety disorder, then the loneliness that you feel, the kind of quietness everywhere, having to figure out things on your own, whatever your experience is, it's just so much harder. So some of what I want to offer in these next few, about 4 Behind the Sessions episodes, are basically like, your 2 a.m. pep talk, your 2 a.m. encouragement, your 2 a.m. lifeline. That is something that you might be able to listen to remind yourself that, you can get through this, and remind yourself that you're connected to a lot of other people that are up in the middle of the night doing similar things. And that while you might feel very lonely, you're not the only one. And just knowing that somewhere out there, there's a community of other people going through something similar can sometimes be what you need to help cope. So in the next few episodes, including this one, I'm going to take a couple of topics, expand on them a little bit, and then offer some coping techniques, some strategies, some mantras or meditations that you might be able to hold on to help you through this period of time. And what I am talking about in this episode is that loneliness that I was talking about and the heaviness that you might be feeling in the middle of the night. If this is you and you are listening to this right now in the middle of the night, you've got your earbuds in, you're trying to feed your baby, or you're just awake right now. You could be listening to this right now while the rest of the world feels like they're asleep and quiet, but here you are awake, or awake with your baby. And that feeling, especially if you're feeling depressed or anxious, can feel really lonely. But as I mentioned before, I really want you to know that you are not the only one who is awake. And sometimes when people say you're not the only one, that can feel dismissive or diminishing. But when I say you're not the only one in this context, I'm really using that to try and help you connect with all of the other moms or parents who might be up right now doing the same thing. You might be doing things in tandem just in your own homes. There might be other moms, rocking their baby in a dark nursery or in their bedroom. They might be sitting there with pumping gear. They might be trying to figure out how to feed. They might be trying to figure out how to soothe their baby. They could be scrolling on their phone, either just trying to focus on something else or just kind of passing the time until they're able to sleep again. Could be awake, worrying about things, which is common. They could be trying to rock their baby or burp their baby who has reflux and having to hold them up for 20, 30, 40 minutes before they can lay them back down. So there are other people going through this. And while you might each individually be alone in your home, there are other people who understand what this feels like. Oftentimes, when you're up in the middle of the night, you're probably already sleep deprived. You are up every 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, something like that. And that loneliness hits you. But in addition to that, the sleep deprivation can make your thoughts a little more negative, or even a little darker or self-judgmental. And it can potentially start to feel like there must be something that I'm doing wrong, that I can't get my baby to sleep, or that I can't fall asleep, or maybe you're frustrated that your partner isn't helping, and that brings up a lot of feelings for you. The more and more sleep deprived you are, the more likely you are to start blaming yourself for things and having negative self-talk, but you're not doing anything wrong. That's what I want to emphasize. That heaviness that you might be feeling, the judgment that you might be feeling, the frustration, anxiety, anger, whatever it is that you're feeling, is a product of the context of your life in this moment. Sleep deprivation really does make your thoughts shift and change to really negative stuff, and really does make you feel more isolated and can make you feel like you're doing something wrong. But the pattern that you're in right now, being awake with a newborn or a very young infant or a baby who's nurses often, you're in the rhythm now of caring for a newborn, and it is an adjustment. You don't figure it out right away. You don't know exactly what you're doing all of the time, and that's okay, and that's normal. Somewhere out there right now, there is another mom who's warming a bottle, who is changing a diaper, who is rocking their baby, or humming lullabies, or crying, or worried. And you are a part of that circle of experience and circle of people. It's unseen and frankly oftentimes underappreciated, all that you are doing in the middle of the night, but you're doing a lot. And it's hard to do all of this while you're learning and while you're sleep deprived and while you're trying to figure it all out. And what you're doing, even though it might not feel great, is you are doing the acts of care for your baby. You are giving love and giving care and giving the attention that they need, even in the hardest of hours. And you don't have to be super excited to be doing it. in order to be doing a good enough job. It's okay to have a mixed bag of feelings about this. If you're not super excited to be up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out all of these things by yourself, it's okay if you have some not so great feelings about it. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad mother. Humans have been doing this middle of the night care for generations, for all of time, really. Before we had electricity, there was probably candlelight or barely that. And before that, who knows? But there's a long line, a universal experience of care for babies in the middle of the night. And you are experiencing some part of that now. So if you're having any kind of negative feelings, self-judgmental feelings, you're not loving this part of the journey, that's okay. Those feelings don't mean that you're not cut out for motherhood. They don't mean that you're doing something wrong. It could just simply be that this is hard. The middle of the night is hard. And if you feel lonely, if you feel that heaviness, it is not a reflection of your ability as a parent or your ability to love or your ability to care for your baby. Again, this is part of the transition and part of the difficulty that comes with caregiving in the middle of the night when you're exhausted and baby's needs might be high at that time. So if this is you and you're resonating with this, just know that at least I understand it. And I know that there are a lot of other people who really get it. And I'd like to offer a few things to help cope in the middle of the night and, take what works for you. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Not every coping skill is going to work for every person. And I certainly wouldn't want it to feel like if this doesn't work for you or if it doesn't resonate for you, that you're doing this wrong too. That's just not how coping works. You got to find the thing that works for you. So throughout these next several episodes, I'm going to offer a few different ways to consider coping with some of the feelings that you might have in the middle of the night. So first, I'd like to offer just a very brief guided visualization that you can use at any time during the night or really at any time at all. But this guided visualization is about connection so that it can help ease some of that isolated feeling, heavy feeling that you might feel. So wherever you are and however you're comfortable, if you'd like to close your eyes, you can. If you'd like to keep your eyes open and have them just softly gazing somewhere that feels safe and comfortable for you, you can do that as well. And then just for a moment, take a deep breath at whatever pace, at whatever depth feels okay to you. And then just imagine a soft line of light connecting you to every other mother and parent that is awake right now. You might not all be doing the same thing. You might not all be doing the same thing. Maybe some are feeding their babies. Maybe some are scrolling their phones. Maybe some are rocking in the dark. Maybe some are gently crying. But that soft line of light and this experience connects you all. Even if you don't know each other, that's okay. This is a shared experience. There's an understanding that exists outside of the darkness of your home. And there are other people who understand what this feels like. You belong here. You belong in this circle. And all of you who are experiencing this now are being held with love and compassion and support and understanding. And you can stay in this space for as long as you'd like. Whenever you're ready, you can take a deep breath and bring your awareness back into the room. or wherever feels comfortable to you. And next, I'd like to offer some affirmations, some self-compassion based, affirmative, positive statements that you can offer to yourself, especially at night, but again, at any time. If you're feeling alone and isolated, you can tell yourself, I am not alone in this moment. And referring back to this conversation, this topic that I've talked about today, that there's this universal connectedness that a lot of people can share in understanding. So if that resonates for you, I am not alone in this moment. That is something that you can repeat to yourself. If it doesn't resonate for you, then move on and use something else. Another version of this could be, other mothers are awake with me, and we are in this together. That might resonate more for you because if the loneliness is really strong and that voice is very loud, it might be easier to remember. Other mothers are awake with me. We are in this together. And the last statement for today that you can repeat to yourself is, this moment will pass and I will make it through. This moment will pass and I will make it through. And sometimes we need that kind of statement, especially in the middle of the night. It can feel so long until somebody else wakes up or the sun rises or whatever that is for you. Looking to give yourself some reassurance that how you feel right now isn't going to be forever, and you will get to the other side of how this feels. All right, well, that's it for this episode. I hope this was useful for you. You can come back to this episode anytime. It's going to be here for you. And go through this again as many times as you need. And certainly, again, if this resonates for you, having something to come back to that helps you feel more centered, more grounded, more calm, more connected, that's really, really important stuff, especially if you're dealing with a perinatal mood or anxiety disorder. It's automatically, you're going to be feeling things more deeply and more heavily. So just know that this is here and available for you, as well as the other episodes that will be in this series. And just know that if you don't know anybody else personally who you think knows what this feels like, I can tell you that I do. And I felt those things. I felt these things in my postpartum. And it's hard, and I get it. And I'm so happy that you've listened and you've been here with me. And I really hope that this supports you. Until next time.